There are 5 rooms that decide your life: a military room, a government policy room, a hospital room, a business boardroom, and a newsroom. What if the same billionaire is inside all 5 by design? And he knows more about you than the NSA ever will.
Actually, we've been collecting this information for so long, and long before NSA was collecting it. American Express, Bank of Visa, all of your credit card data. We have and all of your financial records. This whole issue of privacy is utterly fascinating to me.
Why should you care? Well, his influence is astronomical, leading to Trump calling him the CEO of everything.
It's my honor to welcome 3 of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man, an amazing business person.
And he's coming for more. He has influence across the American military and foreign militaries, massive media conglomerates, foreign governments, police algorithms, and mass surveillance. He's 81 years old, he's the richest man you probably don't know much about, and he's currently building a global surveillance network where AI reports your best behavior to the police in real time. This isn't just a tech company, he's not just a billionaire, this is the rise of the first private sovereign state. But who is Larry Ellison? At 81, he's worth anywhere between $300 and almost $400 billion on a good day, or a whole Nigeria, peaking at Pakistan. He didn't start off like this though, being born to a single mother in New York and adopted by his aunt and uncle. He dropped out of university twice, being told by his adoptive father that he'd never amount to anything. After stints as a programmer, including at a tape recording technology company, he co-founded a company called Software Development Laboratories that ended up getting a contract with the CIA, building a software meant to organize and retrieve vast quantities of intelligence data. The CIA codenamed this project Oracle. They would end up taking that name for their own company later on and continue to work in the intelligence and cloud business. They signed on many clients, including IBM, and their sales doubled annually for 7 years. But what makes him so authoritarian and, well, weird? Well, for starters, he has a massive God complex. His own biography is titled "What is the difference between God and Larry Ellison?" And in the subtitle, it says, "God doesn't believe he's Larry Ellison." He also follows the philosophy of technostatism, the idea where the corporation serves as the sovereign cloud, the digital armory for the nation state. Basically, he wants his company to be the digital brains and army. He takes from romanticized interpretations of Japanese culture and the samurai code. He owns extensive collections of Japanese art and modeled his estate in California after a 16th century Japanese imperial residence. His many shell corporations and side companies are given Japanese names. As for the samurai code, he uses it to develop a winner-takes-all mentality to everything. He has previously stated, "It's not enough that I succeed, everyone else must fail." This has led to a bunch of hostile takeovers as well as high-profile litigations. Just like Trump, he respects strength and sovereignty. Oracle is Ellison's way of gaining influence and leverage, not just over populations but entire governments and states. His influence over the United States is astounding, largely due to his contracts with the Department of Homeland Security and especially the military. The true measure of a defense contractor's influence is found not in the umbrella contracts they win, but in the specific task orders they execute. Oracle was a major player in the $9 billion joint warfighting cloud capability contract. It was also tasked on to create the enterprise cloud environment for the Department of Navy and Army. It's not just selling cloud to the US military, it's becoming infrastructure that Pentagon cannot replace due to vendor lock-in. That's when the vendor, such as Oracle, makes it prohibitively expensive or technically difficult to change software. Oracle also acquired Cerner, a healthcare data provider, for almost $30 billion, all in order to build a national health database for the Department of Veteran Affairs, worth billions. He wants to track you and your health records. The contract that Oracle secured with the Department of Veteran Affairs, or VA, is to create a system for them, and the contract is being deployed across the Department of Defense as well as the Coast Guard, creating a unified medical record for millions of Americans, all on Oracle servers. The original contract, valued at $10 billion, has ballooned to over $50 billion, more than the price of the Cerner acquisition to begin with. All because the VA has admitted that it did not have a reliable IT infrastructure cost estimate, effectively writing a blank check to Oracle.
This is how you do it with Oracle Health. Oracle, show me Zeke Ellison's latest x-rays. That's it. automatically logs in, looks at you, automatically logs in, finds the radiology, finds the radiology database, knows you're a doctor who can actually look at Zeke Ellison's. You're authorized to look at Zeke Ellison's. He's your patient, so you're authorized to actually look at that data, and up pops the data a second later. That's the difference. That's all, and it's all AI.
If Oracle is Ellison's way of gaining leverage and influence over a state, then the TBI is his way of spreading his influence far and wide, capturing contracts from countries all across the world. But what is the TBI? The TBI stands for the Tony Blair Institute. Yes, that Tony Blair. After destroying Iraq, he really did create a think tank and named it after himself. It is perhaps the most powerful and influential think tank in the entire UK, with strong ties to the current Labour Party that's in power. There are many examples of policy positions or suggestions that the TBI has made which ended up being taken up by the UK government, such as digital ID, which was so unpopular it got scrapped by the government recently. Another example is national data unification to train AI models. But it doesn't just stop there. The TBI has had an aggressive expansion since COVID and now have operations and consultancy services across almost 50 countries. It's supposedly a non-profit, however it's been acting like a very strong sales funnel to the main man that gave it more than $1/3 of $1 billion in funding. Yes, we are back to Larry Ellison. Ellison gave the TBI more than $350 million in just a few years, which allowed the TBI to expand from 200 to over 1,000 employees across almost 50 countries. It recruited from McKinsey, Meta and Google. Reports show that the TBI is effectively an onboarding and sales pitch to governments for Oracle, with more than a dozen former employees calling it a sales engine for Oracle. They first get in contact with the government thanks to the Tony Blair name and TBI connections, especially since many of them end up getting given free contract initially, which are hard for developing countries to refuse. The TBI also held regular meetings with UK ministers such as Digital Secretary Peter Kyle and other health officials, pushing Oracle software onto them. TBI embedded consultants in government ministries, and former employees say they had to push tech solutions despite concerns about it harming their clients. They knew that there were major issues in the global south with vendor lock-in, power supply issues, cyber threats, and more, but they were pressured by higher-ups to downplay those issues and push Oracle solutions. One data analyst from TBI Africa said, "I'm an African. I have lived experience, and I'm saying these things, but I wasn't being listened to." It went so far that Rwanda demanded migration from Oracle due to very high cost for support and licensing, one which they didn't know about beforehand. TBI board is also made up of senior Oracle staff who are described as inseparable, such as Awo Ablo and Benedict Makonkuni. So Ellison gets a seemingly well-natured non-profit think tank, the TBI, to give out consultancy and services, often for free or very cheap, and then lock governments in with increasingly expensive contracts to Oracle. Okay, so he's slowly embedding his influence and power into like a quarter of the world's governments. What's the big deal? Here's the thing, if you want to see what he has in plan for us, there are two places we should look at. First, in 2012, Ellison purchased 98% of the Hawaiian island Lanai, all for a reported $300 million. It encapsulates his ambition of total control. On Lanai, Ellison is not just a landlord, he is the de facto king. He controls the housing, the water, the utilities, and the employment of nearly the entire population of almost 5,000 people. For example, he locked the gates of Beach Park until local protests led to the county stepping in. He also evicted a carpenter, Chris Andrus, from his local business, and when Andrus got a job at a local newspaper, Ellison bought the newspaper and fired the guy, followed by evicting him from his home. Bear in mind, Andrus did nothing wrong. He did not commit a crime, violate a policy, or damage any property, and that's just one of many examples of how Ellison went on a tyrannical spree on Lanai. This is just who he is. Ellison also has a very strong and peculiar link to one other state besides America.
I have been to Israel. I have been to the border. I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
Ellison has spent years embedding Oracle into the defense architecture of the state of Israel. They built a hardened underground bunker data center in Jerusalem. And this isn't just your standard data center from down the road. It's a 14,000 square meter underground complex, 50 meters below ground. The compound is made up of 4 floors and sits below 5 parking levels and a 17-story building. To give you just some idea of what exactly we're dealing with, it's designed to withstand kinetic attacks, a direct rocket hit, direct missile hit, and a car bomb, according to Oracle Israel manager Aaron Feigenbaum. And it even has its own power generators for continuity in case the original power source is destroyed. Oracle has another facility under construction. They also provide software, databases, ERP systems, and IT infrastructure to the Israeli Ministry of Defense, Air Force, Civil Administration, and Israeli Police, as well as the IDF's Unit 81, one of its elite intelligence divisions. No other American corporation is as deeply integrated into the security architecture of the State of Israel as Oracle is. Whilst Intel and Microsoft have massive R&D footprints in the country, Ellison has positioned Oracle as a critical component of Israel's defense logistics and cyber resilience. They're no longer just a vendor for Israel, they're a fundamental asset for Israeli national security. And this is all cemented by Larry Ellison's personal friendship with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Ellison lobbied Israeli mogul Arne Milken to drop his lawyer so that Netanyahu could hire him, showing how integrated Ellison is in Netanyahu's dealings. When Netanyahu and his family went on vacation, they chose no other place to go except Ellison's private Hawaiian island, Lanai. Ellison has donated the biggest amount to the Friends of the IDF, a record donation. They're so close that Ellison was even a key witness in Netanyahu's corruption trial. Oracle CEO Safra Katz, who herself was born in Israel, visited the country in January 2024, where she held meetings not just with business leaders, but also with the Israeli war cabinet, including Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The meetings discussed security assistance and expanding Oracle activity in Israel. Oracle also signed a deal with the Israeli military to deliver mission-critical AI solutions alongside Peter Thiel's Palantir. This came in the form of AI tools like the Gospel and Lavender, hosted on Oracle Cloud software. Lavender is an AI which used machine learning to generate a list of 37,000 potential targets, with tens of thousands more after they lower the threshold, but the system has a 90% error rate in some applications. This list of targets were completely generated by AI and were not approved by humans beforehand. The AI assigned a civilian collateral amount, which for junior militants was up to 20 civilians, with over 100 civilians allowed to be killed for more senior militants. To reiterate, the AI allowed the killing of 20 civilians for a single junior militant, bearing in mind that the US assigned Osama bin Laden a civilian collateral limit of 13. As if that wasn't bad enough, the junior members would then be bombed with unguided dumb bombs, as they were cheaper. But they were cheaper for a reason, as they were very inaccurate and ended up killing a massive number of civilians. Lavender has struck hospitals, schools, and refugee camps purely based on designation of suspicious rooftops by the algorithm. Another Israeli AI system, which was given the dystopian name Where's Daddy, tracked militants and bombed them in their own homes, along with their wife and kids. And often, the militant wasn't even inside the house they bombed. There were hours of delays between the call and between when it was actually hit. One Israeli source said, "It happened to me many times that we attacked a house, but the person wasn't even home. The result is that you killed a family for no reason." This is one of the main reasons the genocide was so deadly. Almost 700,000 deaths by some estimates, or almost 1/3 of the entire population wiped out. Almost entirely civilians. Oracle's support is not just financial or technological, it's also ideological, having one of the biggest companies in the world set up a major data center in Jerusalem, part of which is illegally occupied under international law, shows their ideological support on the question of Zionism and the two-state solution. Other companies and even almost all embassies are based in Tel Aviv, not just for presumed neutrality, but because it's a more innovative and attractive hub for talent and investment than Jerusalem. That means that Oracle went out of their way to prove a point and show their ideological backing, even if it meant lower quality results. They invested a further $10 billion to build massive AI data centers in Israel. And that's in the exact same time that Israel is increasingly being seen as too toxic a brand image to do business with. When every other company was worried about risking their brand image and also avoided Israel due to credit downgrades, Oracle prioritized pushing the interests of the state of Israel no matter the cost. I guess we all need friends as loyal as Larry Ellison and Oracle are to Israel. Oracle has also hosted IDF soldiers for training sessions and donated supplies to them during the Gaza genocide. CEO Safra Katz, who once more was born in Israel, said that the company commitment to Israel is second to none. She also told employees that disagreed with him on this mission statement that maybe they aren't the right company for them. In other words, you can be the greatest programmer, recruiter, or marketer and make us tens of millions of dollars. If you don't support Israel and Zionism, you can beat it. As Ellison put it in 2017, since Israel's founding, we have called on the brave men and women of the IDF to defend our home. Wait, our home? We love Israel and will do anything to support it. I guess the most extreme version of this support comes not just in the form of supporting a genocide, but in terms of the Gaza International Transition Authority, or GITA. The plan envisions a technocratic administration of Gaza, relying heavily on data flows and cloud infrastructure to manage the population. It would effectively outsource the governance of Gaza to the Oracle Palantir stack. They will rely on a unified digital identity and biometric registry for every Gazan resident, which won't be hard as Israel already controls the ID numbers and population registry of every Palestinian, both in the West Bank and Gaza. Think of the kind of authoritarian surveillance that Israel subjects Palestinians to in the West Bank, which I mentioned in this video, but even worse, as unlike the West Bank, it's all in one solid area. It's effectively a post-war plan for Gaza, which includes plans on how to keep the population surveilled and tracked 24/7. The civil registry, digital ID, border control, data logistics, every movement that every Palestinian will ever make, all surveilled and tracked by Oracle and Palantir. Imagine not a smart city, but a smart prison that is completely occupied by outside powers, where every movement is tracked and recorded by private companies and controlled by a country that practices apartheid and genocide. So why is this bad? Because what he supports in Israel, he will spread in America and the West. His best behavior doctrine uses Oracle's AI and Palantir's algorithm to create a supervision network that tracks your every move 24/7. Just like what we see with Peter Thiel's implementation of his tools in Israel, first he deploys them against the Palestinians to surveil and bomb them, then refines it, then starts selling it to Western governments, marketing it as battle-tested. His utopia includes a comprehensive surveillance network integrating real-time video feeds from police body cameras, car dash cams, residential security cameras like Ring doorbells, and public CCTVs. By working together with Palantir, they can create a centralized collection of video data covering nearly every public and private interaction, all to be hosted on Oracle Cloud.
We actually take the video that the police officer is, by the way, and the camera's always on. You don't turn it on and off. And by the way you turn it on you can't turn it on. I'm going to the bathroom. Oracle, I need 2 minutes to take a bathroom break, and we'll turn it off. The truth is, we don't really turn it off. What we do is we record it so no one can see it, but no one can get into that recording without a court order. The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
This isn't just a theory or a plan, this is happening right now. This includes the Oracle Roving Edge, which are cloud nodes that can be installed in police or military vehicles and allow Palantir's AI to perform facial recognition, license plate tracking, and behavioral analysis in real time. Through the acquisition of BlueKai and other data firms, Oracle built the Oracle ID Graph, a massive repository of consumer data. The company claimed to hold dossiers on 5 billion consumer profiles, tracking your purchase location and online behaviors. A class action lawsuit said that Oracle was running a global surveillance machine that intercepted communications and tracked users without consent, all to build shadow profiles on us. After that lawsuit, Oracle shifted away from commercial surveillance, aka advertising, and into government surveillance. Same tech, same audience, new customer. The reason we should be even more worried is not just that Ellison is so powerful and influential, it's that despite being 81, he is still going up. He's increasing his influence in a few major ways, the first being on the media front. Ellison bid over $40 billion for Paramount Global, owner of CBS, Paramount Pictures, MTV, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, and 28 local stations and much more, all to be run by his son David Ellison under Larry's supervision. Ellison even has fewer restrictions than the previous owning Redstone family, with the termination of the NAI agreement. They can appoint 5 out of 7 board members and have veto powers over some appointments of executive positions and budgets. And now he's even going after Warner Brothers too.
In August, Larry Ellison helped buy the TV and film studio Paramount for his son David. The Ellisons are now reportedly bidding to buy a much larger media company, Warner Brothers Discovery. If it goes ahead, this merger would create a Hollywood colossus. Warner and Paramount's combined recent box office output far exceeds their rivals. And together, they'd command more than a third of America's national TV advertising market. Larry Ellison's also part of a group trying to buy the American operations of TikTok from its Chinese owner ByteDance. And it's this acquisition which would be an industry game changer. A deal could give the Ellisons access to TikTok's fabled content algorithm. Now imagine if that were combined with Warner and Paramount's vast media libraries. No other company would have this combination of new and old media.
You're talking about a pretty big chunk of America's news consumption under control of one family.
These deals would also give the Ellisons considerable political power. They already control CBS News, which is part of Paramount. Recently, the Ellisons have made some controversial appointments to key editorial roles at the company. If the Warner merger happens, they'd also control CNN. But it's Larry Ellison's potential stake in TikTok that could give him even greater influence. He'd be involved in shaping a platform where nearly half of young Americans go for news. Currently, old and new media compete for our attention spans. Larry Ellison is attempting to do something unprecedented. He wants to combine those two worlds. If successful, he could become America's most powerful media magnate.
Ellison also molds the policy environment around his wants, such as dropping $30 million into the Opportunity Matters Funds, a super PAC aligned with Republican Senator Tim Scott. Ellison was the single most important guy responsible for the rise of Republican Senator Tim Scott. That fund also directly helped create tax policy that Ellison wanted, especially policy that applies to real estate development. He supported a host of other Republican senators, especially Trump-aligned candidates such as Lindsey Graham and Susan Collins. He spent so much money that he was the 11th biggest mega donor in the country in 2022. Oracle is also a member of the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC. It's a conservative lobby group that brings together corporate influencers and state legislators. It has historically opposed climate change regulations, municipal broadband, tighter regulations on tobacco companies, and labor union protections. ALEC has become quite the PR disaster, especially in relation to climate change denialism, leading to most major companies abandoning it, but not Oracle. Just like Ellison maintaining a personal relationship with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, he maintains a close relationship with President Trump, even inviting him to his ranch a few times and fundraising for him in 2020, with attendees paying up to $250,000 to attend. As with everything Trump, that's the main thing he looks for when handing out contracts and favors. Who can suck up to him the most? In Ellison's case, when the US tried to ban TikTok, Ellison was given the ability to purchase its American operations. TikTok was only seriously pushed to be banned once more once it started to be used as a way to bypass the incredibly pro-Israel media ecosystem. Videos of the genocide in Gaza or interviews about Gaza weren't being suppressed as much as they were on other platforms, so it ended up being a vital platform for anti-Zionist voices. It was effectively radicalizing an entire generation of young people, especially young Jews in the West, so it had to go. And who else would be taking control of it except...
I have been to Israel, I have been to the border, I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
Oracle would be given complete access to TikTok's America's user base and algorithm reviews. The guy and his company who says that their commitment to Israel is second to none, who says that they need to embed the love of Israel in the American culture, the guy who calls Israel his home. Whose side is he on? Where do his loyalties lie? Just think about how much data this guy wants and what he would use it for, and how much power and influence he already has, both over the media ecosystem and the American government.
But the part I wanted to share with you here is this amazing email exchange from 2015. These are previously unreported emails that we were able to obtain. We explain in the story where they come from, but they are between Larry Ellison, who's the founder of Oracle and now going to be the owner basically of TikTok, and Ron Prosor, who was at the time, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, and he's now the Israeli ambassador to Germany. So it's 2015. They're discussing the upcoming presidential election. They both like one candidate who Prosor calls Marco Rubio, Florida senator at the time. And Ron writes to Larry, hi, how was the conversation with Mario Rubio? Did he pass your scrutiny? Did you have a chance to talk about Israel? Would love to chat. My cell is blah, 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 blah. Big hug. And again, thank you for a wonderful evening with you, Ron. Larry Ellison writes back, hi, Ron. Great meeting with Marco Rubio. I set him up to meet with Tony Blair. Marco will be a great friend for Israel. Larry.
We made a change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against.
But it also extends to business deals too. Ellison has spent over $11 million on White House and Department of Homeland Security lobbying. Once more, he saw his investment return thousands of times over after him, Sam Altman of OpenAI, and Masayoshi Son of SoftBank were at the White House to launch the $500 billion AI infrastructure initiative, of course created by Trump. This is why you should care, because you can vote out a government. You can't vote out a vendor. Vendor lock-in isn't just an IT problem, it's a political condition. The moment a state can't function without a private system, the private system starts making the rules. And if Ellison's best behavior world wins, where cameras feed AI and AI feeds policing, freedom doesn't disappear overnight. It gets rated, flagged, and denied. Quietly, slowly, automatically, and then forever. We started with the 5 rooms that decide your life. The military room, the policy room, the hospital room, the business boardroom, and the newsroom. The story of Larry Ellison is what happens when one person learns to sit in all of them at once. Through contracts, clouds, personal connections, so-called philanthropy, databases, and partnerships that look like services until they become dependence.